guys, here we go. This is our chapter 8 review. We're starting with problem 6. It says you want to produce a scale drawing of your living room. It's 30 feet by 15 feet. If you use a scale of 4 inches to 6 feet, what will the dimensions be? Well, you set this up 4 inches to 6 feet. You have to work it once for 30 feet. You have to work it again for the 15 feet. And then you just use cross products. 120 equals 6x. X equals, help me out here, what do we get here? 20. So this is 20 inches. And here we get 15 times 4, which is 60, equals 6x. So x is 10 inches. So your dimensions are, if they use 30 first, you need to use 20 first. 20 inches by 10 inches. Number 7. You got figure A, B, C, D, similar to figure W, X, Y, Z. AD is 12, DC is 3, WZ is 31. Find YZ. So how do you set your ratio up? Twelve over 31 equals 3x. So this is 12x equals 93. Divide by 12. 7.75. That's your answer. Number 8. Explain why the triangles are similar. Then found the value of x. Well, what do you have to have for triangles to be similar? The definition says all the angles are congruent and the sides are proportional. And that's the first thing you learn. And then you begin to learn some postulates and theorems. And one of those is the angle-angle postulate. Now, why is it that I can just say angle-angle postulate? Why do I only need 2 angles congruent? If I have 2 angles congruent in this triangle to 2 angles in another triangle, what about the third angle? You know it has to be equal as well because they all have to add up to be 180. Now, I see that they've drawn this is congruent to this. Is there any other item in the picture that you know is congruent? The 2 angles here, what are they? Vertical angles. So I know that by the angle-angle similarity postulate, these 2 triangles are similar. Now I need to set up my ratios to find the missing sides. So how does that work? Okay. So I have 15x equals 48. Divide by 15. What do I get? 3.2. Any questions on number 8? You didn't have to set it this way. You could have said 6 over 15 equals x over 8.
Yeah, because that's what I did last time.
Well, because again, you would have 48 equals 15x. As long as you do the same thing in the first ratio that you do in the second ratio, you're fine. There's several ways you can start those out. 3.2 is that answer. Number.
Why can't you just divide 8 by 15 and multiply that times?
You can. Number 9. You need to draw these 2 separated. But look here, guys. Do y'all see these little arrows? What do those little arrows mean? That they're parallel, which tells me that this angle and this angle are congruent, and this angle and this angle are congruent. Now let me draw. That's 9, that's 12, and I've got these markings. What's this side? 11, and this is x. First, are you convinced that the triangles are similar? Do Do they not share that angle right there? Yes. So we're going to say they're similar by the angle-angle similarity postulate. Now we're going to set our ratios up. How do we set those up?
I did 9 over 11 over x.
9 over 11 equals 12 over x. 9x equals, is it 132? Somebody help me out. Divide by 9. And what is x?
14.
It's a repeater. Number 10. Use the information in the diagram to determine the height of the tree to the nearest foot. What do these markings tell me? So how big is this? 120. And how big is this? So if I drew the little triangle, and here's the tree right here. This is 120 and this is 144, right? And this is, I'm going to write an X there. That's what I'm looking for. And then if I draw the big triangle, this is 160. How big is this? 240. And this? 288. So how do you want to set up your ratios? What do you think? So I have 240x equals 160 times 120. So 160 times 120, and then I need to divide by 240. So x is 80. Any questions on that problem? It doesn't say anything on number 11, but they're asking you for the geometric mean, which means that you're going to multiply these two numbers together and take their square root. So you have the square root of 27. Can you simplify the square root of 27? Is there a factor of 27 that is a perfect square? 9. So the square root of 9 times the square root of 3. What's the answer to the square root of 9? So 3 square roots of 3 is my answer for number 11. Number 12. Number 12 says the two figures are similar. Give the ratio of the perimeters and the ratio of the areas, the first figure to the second. The figures are not drawn to scale. First, give the ratio of the perimeters. What do you know about the ratio of the perimeters? It's equal to the ratio of what? Of the sides or the legs or whatever you want to call it. So let's give the ratio. What would it be? 21 to 9. Can we simplify that ratio? 7 to 3. Now, the ratio of the areas is equal to the ratio of the sides squared. So, what's the ratio of the sides? The ratio of the sides is 21 to 9, right? And we simplify it and we get 7 to 3. So 7 to 3, but you got to square both of those. So that is 49 to 9. That is the ratio for the areas. This is the ratio for the perimeter.
So you just go ahead and simplify because they're going to be in the square instead of square to square.
The widths of two similar rectangles are 25 and 35. What is the ratio of the perimeters? 25 to 35. Can you simplify that? 5 to 7. What about the areas? What's the ratio of the areas? 25 to 49. That is the area. This is the perimeter. The figures are similar. The area of one figure is given. Find the area of the other figure to the nearest whole number. The area of the octagon is 35. What is the area of a regular octagon with 6 times as large? What's the scale? What's the ratio? If it's 6 times as big, what's the ratio? Let's draw something, and let's make an example before we work this one. Let's just say I have a triangle and it's 2, 3, and 5, and I want to draw one that's 6 times as big. How big would each side need to be? 30. Can you give me the ratio for the two figures? Just like we've been doing, what would you do? 2 to 12, right? Which reduces 3 to 18, 5 to 30, and each one of those can be simplified, and what do you get? 1 to 6. So if an item is 6 times as big, the ratio of the sides is 1 to 6. Now that's not the answer to the question, that's just going to help me get the answer to the question. That's the ratio of the sides. I need the ratio of the areas. So what do I do to come up with the ratio of the areas? So 1 squared is 1 and 6 squared is, so the area ratio is given here. So that means my new figure has 36 times the area as my old figure. So what's my old figure's area? Okay. So 35 times 36 is
1
I said it, this is actually what I did. 1 to 36 equals 35 to x. Okay, and the reason I'm telling you that is because what if that turned out to be some number other than 1? You would need to know to set it up. 1 to 36 equals old area to new area, and then you need to solve that. Are we good? Does anybody have a question? 15, find the domain and the range of the relation. So now we're in the algebra review. What's the domain here? What? Why did you only list 31 one time? It's in there twice, but you only put it once when you list it this way. What is the range? Okay. Is that a function? This is my domain, this is my range. How do you know if it's a function? Can not repeat members of the range. Function. Does this repeat members of the range? Yes. So it cannot be a function. Evaluate f of x equals 3x plus 7 for x equals negative 3. What do we do to work this problem? Okay, so this is 3 times negative 3 plus 7. which gives me negative 9 plus 7, which is negative 2. Can we just put that in our calculator? Okay, what about the next one? Do the same thing. But be very careful here. Negative 2 times negative 1 squared plus 5. See what I put in there? I put the negative 1 in parentheses. What's my answer here? 3. 18 says graph the function. You do that on your calculator. So everybody get your calculator ready to graph. Negative. How do I get the absolute value bars to appear on my graph? Second catalog or second zero. Inside of there I need 2x minus 2. Graph. It is a V-shaped graph. Why is it turned upside down? The negative outside made it turn upside down. Okay. Can you identify, it's a multiple choice test, can you identify the correct graph? Where does this cross the y-axis? Negative 2. Those are things that you have to look for when you're picking out the right graph. Write a function rule for the table. What are we doing to x to turn it into f of x? What would you do to negative row and 1 into 4?
1/3.
Okay, so f of x equals 4x. Crystal earns $6 per hour mowing lawns. Write a rule to describe how the amount of money M earned is a function of the number of hours spent mowing lawns. So write a function rule. Money equals 6H. How much does she earn if she works 2 hours and 30 minutes?
$15.
So M equals 6 times 2.5, and you came up with $15. 21 says use inductive reasoning to describe the pattern, then find the next two numbers in the pattern. So what's happening as we move down this list? Subtracting 4. What are the next two numbers? Find the common difference here. Just tell me what they're doing as they move along. Adding 2. Model the function rule with a table and a graph. So you are to put these x values in the function and then we're going to graph it. So when I put in negative 1, what do I get? 2 times negative 1 plus 1. Negative 1. Okay, then I'm going to use 0. What do I get? 1. I'm going to use 1. Okay. Question? Okay, what did you do? That will be perfectly fine. Put it in y equals and the calculator will create the table. And then when you graph, you got negative 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 1, 3. Find the range for this domain. So what are we going to do here? Can you put that in your calculator? Can you go to y equals? Put this in. Negative 4. Let me get where you can see it. Negative 4x minus 1. And then go to the table. And they're interested in negative 4. What's the answer when it's negative 4? 15. Negative 2. 0. And 2. Any questions on those?